headlines from all over the world, and even bigger interview coming your way on the show tonight. Just a quick reminder that Tony Mawejje is in the building, and we shall be discussing everything his life, everything Ugandan football, and also you can join in by giving us all your questions. Because I tell you what, we are huge online tonight, plus giving away DSTV subscription for an entire month. Joel Kamadi is standing by. Joel.
Most definitely, Andrew. Now, you've talked about our guest today. He has played for a little over 10 clubs professionally, making him the ideal football journeyman. Uganda Cranes legend, of course, Tony Mawejje is with us tonight, and he will be filling us in on everything you need to know about his footballing career and a few tips that he might have for upcoming footballers. Plus, the race for a Champions League spot is heating up. Manchester City's 2-year ban from Europe's competition for a serious breach of UEFA's financial fair play rules has been overturned by the Court of Arbitration for Sport, meaning there is no backdoor entry to the Champions League for the teams fighting for a slot. Give us your thoughts on how you think things will pan out, and of course we'll be giving you updates on the very latest coming from the Theatre of Dreams as Old Trafford, as Manchester United look to go third. Use the hashtag NTV Press Box. We are powered by DSTV and the Kampala Serena Hotel.
I'm telling you, it's a big one, Joel. Plus, that subscription, we shall be giving away subscription, Compact Plus, free for an entire month, courtesy of our sponsors here on the Press Box. DSTV Live Sport is back, my friend. So we are watching all these games with the comfort of our couch now. Just join me in welcoming the legend on set. Very shortly, we shall be linking up with Max Ali and, of course, Andrew Mwangusha. But let's start here. Tony Mawejje.
Yes.
My friend, good evening. Welcome to the Press Box. I'm so excited to see you tonight. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. The last time I saw you, we were on a flight to Oyem. That is the Africa Cup of Nations in Gabon.
Yeah, I remember.
And we had a long discussion, so many things. It's been a while since then. How have you been?
I've been good. The journey has been moving well.
Yeah.
And here I am now.
There you are now. The ultimate journeyman
Yes.
in world football. I mean, 10 years out of Uganda. You've been to Albania, you've been to Iceland. We shall discuss that later. We've been to Norway. You're back home now. I should say welcome back home.
Thank you.
But the first and biggest question is, why police?
Police, this is not my first time to go to police. I one time played for police in 2006. We won a cup, a Sekafa Cup, and I have a good relationship with the boss himself, Mr. Kasinje Hassan, the coach himself. When I was coming from Masaka to KCC, I met him there. He was deputizing the KCC coach now, Michael Mtebi. So I have a good relationship with them, and anybody would want to work with the person and they have a good relationship with. So that makes me go to police.
But have you been following the Uganda Premier League? Because, I mean, you've been away, very busy with your own club matters. You come into a police side now that has not been competitive as of last season. They finished 13th, just above the 3 relegated teams. How excited are you?
Yeah, I think any team can have a bad run, but inside me, I believe police is a good team. They have a couple of good players. Their style of play is wonderful, and I think they were only having a bad run, and that's what made them go on top of the table. But I think they know why they were not performing well, and the recruitments they are making right now. I think in the next league, police is going to be on the top where they are supposed to be.
Oh, there you go, there you go. Big warning coming in for KCCA, Vipers, and all the other teams that are hoping to do well in the Uganda Premier League next season. Police is coming with handcuffs next season. I'm telling you, 2001 in Masaka, no one knew you.
Yes.
Years later, you're seated here as one of the most legendary players in the Uganda Cranes. What a journey it's been.
Yes, I would say it has been good.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I look back, I see so many things I've achieved. So many, I mean, it's not by my power, but working hard and putting God first. Yeah, I think
We shall go through the entire journey
Yes.
because I was having discussions with him before we came on air. Oh, the man has got some funny stories. All the young Ugandan football fans, all those who want to play professional football, you should stick around because we shall get you as many details as we can. Very shortly though, we should be starting up with Mark Sally, because Mark Sally is the veteran journalist here on the press box, and he gets to know a thing or two that we might not know from the past. So do we have Mark Sally online? Mark, good evening and welcome to the press box once again. We've got Tony Mawejje here. Before we go deeper into the discussion with Tony Mawejje, let me first ask you, when someone says Tony Mawejje to you, what comes to your mind?
Andrew, am I with you?
I don't know if you can hear what I'm saying. I'm saying when Tony Mawejje comes on screen tonight, what comes to your mind, my friend?
There's several things that come to mind. The number one thing, of course, is longevity. I have got to say, but Tony, by the way, hello, how are you in the studio? I can't see you, but well, that is it.
Yes.
Longevity is what comes to mind. Let me paint a few pictures for you, yeah? The first one I'll paint is when Tony Mawejje first started playing, people like Willie Chambade and Livingston Babas were still playing our midfield. I mentioned those two names because those were some of the most talented midfielders we had at that time. They were the best of that generation, and they are two of the best of all time, actually, as far as midfield is concerned. And now he comes back into Ugandan football to pit his might against, let me say who? I'll say Gift Ali and Pius Obuya. So, I mean, I don't know if you understand the number of midfielders that have gone in between there. I don't even know if Pius Obuya and Gift Ali were born at the time. If they were probably 1 or 2 years old. And now he's going to be playing against them. I'm talking longevity here. There's been so many midfielders that have come and gone, and Tony Mawejje is still with us. I'm sure even he has not put into perspective like that. When he thinks about it now, I don't know if he'll laugh or say Mark is making me out to be an old man. The second bit I'll say, to put this into perspective, one of the things that showed just how talented Mawejje was and how appreciated he was by the people in the football fraternity was when Coach Mike Mutebi first nicknamed him Michael Ballack. I don't know if you guys remember that, yeah? Now, when did Michael Ballack play? Michael Ballack was the best midfielder in the world in 2002. And that is when Bayer Leverkusen did great things in the German Bundesliga and also go to the Champions League final where they lost to Zidane and Real Madrid. And then, of course, Ballack went on to play for Chelsea and on, yeah. But that career ended a very long time ago. And that is the person that, at the time, Mike Mutebi saw fit to describe Mawejje as, just to put his talent into perspective. So those two examples I give when I mentioned Michael Ballack in Europe and I mentioned people like Willie Chambade and Livingston Babazi here, should tell you how long I think Mawejje has been on the scene. Now, for a person who has been around even longer than him, the other midfielders, the longevity I talk about here can best be exemplified back in my generation and the generation before by people like Paul Nkata and George Nsimbe. Those are guys who perhaps have even coached Mawejje. Now, those are two of the midfielders that played over a very, very long period in Ugandan football and stayed at a very high level until they retired. And there are very few midfielders in Uganda who I can mention in that kind of breadth. And here I am putting Mawejje in the same sentence as them. That shows you how much I believe in his ability, but most importantly, his longevity. And I believe, but I'm sure he's going to tell us the story, that most of that should be attributed to discipline. Andrew?
Thank you very much, Mark, for setting the scene for us. Suddenly, I'm going to come back to you. I know you've got one eye on the screen trying to watch Manchester United and Southampton, and I'll try and get as many updates from you as I can. But let's first come. Later on, I'll be joining up with Andrew Mwangusha as well. Tony, let's start here. I mean, we have for me, an interesting story to talk about.
Yeah.
A story that should inspire so many young kids out there, and also maybe tell your own story from your own mouth.
Yeah.
Let's start here. You were born in Masaka.
Yes.
The young Tony Mawejje.
Yeah.
A footballer, or it just happened?
I think a footballer, because from childhood I loved football like nothing. I loved football. What I can remember is my dad used even to beat us because we are spoiling his garden, destroying everything because of playing football. So I think the little Tony Mawejje was born a football player. Yes.
And at what point do you then get appreciated by anyone? Because I mean, I've been reading some of your history, and I've been seeing you were called to Masaka. You didn't even have a contract with the club, Masaka LC. But then you played for the club without a license. It's quite interesting. Tell me about that first encounter and your first game at Masaka.
Yes, it's so challenging as a kid who is born in the area that everybody will always see you as a kid. So it so happened that the team was playing in the Super League, and it was so hard for us, for me and some of my friends, to get a license to play, because they were always saying, these are young boys. They can only play school football.
Yes.
They cannot manage the other matches. Yes, exactly. So it was so hard for us to penetrate through and get the license. So here comes my story that we happened to host Hippos to play Masaka LC in Masaka, and one coach that was there, Sam Timbe, I would say he made me a favor. He made me a favor to put me in this team, because there's no way I could even be in the first 11 of this team. Yeah. So he made his starting 11 and put me in the team to play this. But I knew, deep inside me, I understood that maybe he wants these people to see me, because I was in their age, and I was playing against them. And good enough, I had a good game. Nice. Yes, I had a good game, and they saw me, and I got summoned for the national under-20.
But do you vividly still remember that day when you were playing against Hippos?
Yes.
Just take me through those emotions, because you opportunity you can get.
Yes, exactly. I will not say I had pressure on me, but I was playing like I was enjoying the game. I was enjoying what I always do, because I always did this with even those big guys in Masaka LC squad. They had experience. Most of them had played for 4 years in Villa, Mbale Ilos, Police. They were just coming there, but with a lot of experience in their legs. So as a kid, as a young boy, I used to challenge them on the pitch. So it's exactly what I did on this match, and I was playing a younger side that are in the same age like me. So
but here's an interesting one, and I think everyone always asks this. At that age, before you got your big chance, you had idols, Tony. You had folks you had been watching, and you wanted to be like. Who were the idols for you at the time?
Yeah, at that time, I was loving so much this to meet and to play like Akim Magumba and Edgar Watson. But back before I even reached this level playing for Masaka LC in primary school, I got a chance to see them play. We were having a tournament, a Kabaka Cup tournament, and my school reached the finals. So they let us play like a curtain raiser game, and after then our game, Express was to play Villa. And I got a chance to see Akim Magumba and Edgar Watson. Using like live with my eyes. I got a chance, and I was like, oh, this is a chance I've got, and I got inspired. Since then, I got inspired to work hard, and I knew one time I would be like these guys.
You probably will be interested in the story as it goes on, because it gets very, very fascinating. But you know what? Online, we're asking you, I don't know how many Uganda Cranes games you've watched over the years, or Ugandan club football, and you've watched Tony Mawejje in action. But join us in helping us rate him. How do you rate Tony Mawejje's career with the Uganda Cranes? He hasn't played since 2017, but we shall talk about that later. So let's continue with the story then. So you've played against Hippos now.
Yes.
What happens next? Because you don't have a contract up to now with any club.
Yeah. When I got summoned to come and train with them and join them, they were training at Lugogo. I think where KCC trains right now is where we were training. So I got to see new things I got a chance even to come to the city the first time.
Yes. Not a museum.
Yeah, exactly. So everything was new to me. That time I did not get a chance to make the team, but I was so appreciative of the chance I got, and I went back to Masaka. But good enough, the next time they summoned the Hippos, I was summoned again, and I joined. And this time I come back as a changed player, a player who now does things that he saw the other time others do. So now I got a chance again now to make to show what I can do, and then I made the squad.
Okay.
And we were playing Egypt, and I took my first flight ever in life.
My friend. That's the first time you traveled out of Uganda.
First time I traveled, first time on the plane.
Yes.
Everything was.
And you went to Egypt.
Exactly. So it was a different experience, and when we went and came back, I had to go back to Masaka and like tell the story to my family, to my boys around, how it's feel to be in the plane and everything like this. So, and coming back, like, you know the story before that, I didn't have a license.
Yes.
So I come back, even before I got a chance to meet my boys and speak to them the story in the plane and everything, the chairman, by then, Mr. Sempija Vincent.
Of Masaka.
Of Masaka LOC. He was the chairman now for the club.
Okay.
He sent a vehicle to pick me, and even can you imagine at night?
Okay.
So
okay.
to pick me from home, I had just landed in Masaka. I think he learned of it after that I had come back, and a few hours after I'd reached home, he sent guys to take me to his house. And reaching his house, he was just telling me, how much do you want to sign a license?
Yes.
This is something I'd longed for a long time. I had prayed for. I wanted so much to play football. For me, in my life, even if he was saying we were not giving you anything, but here's the license.
Here's the ball, here, boots, go out there.
Go and play.
Yes. That's what you wanted.
That's all I wanted. But if I tell you the money, I said you cannot even believe.
Tell me.
I said 400,000. Sign-on fee.
Sign-on fee.
Sign-on fee.
Okay.
400,000. And you know what he did? He just turned and touched the pocket of his coat, and he got me the money.
Yes.
And he told the guys, bring the license for him to sign.
How could you ask for 400 now?
No, for
that is those days.
And I saw that as, okay, for me as a kid by then, it was too much money for me. But maybe for a player who had established himself by then, he would see that as some little money you get. But for me, from school, and I could see this as big money.
Yes.
So that's why even he didn't even maybe tell people that bring me my briefcase. No, he just touched into his pocket.
Was ready.
It was ready. Just ready. Their pocket money.
Yes, pocket change. So now you have your sign-on fee.
Yes.
Now Masaka owns you at this time.
Exactly.
400,000 shillings.
Yes, 400.
But there was bigger moves to come. You later would go to KCCA, and then I'm told you should have gone to Villa, but you did not go to Villa. You went to KCCA. What happened? Yeah.
Now when I got signed, I got a license now to play. It was off season, and I started playing. Now after the off season, Villa got interested in me, and so they came. They approached the chairman. We want this boy, and then chairman called me and told me all these things, and I said yes, I would also want to go and join them. So they brought me to Kampala. Actually, I went to Villa Park and trained like for 2 weeks.
Okay.
By then, Michu had just come to Villa, and he liked me so much. I will tell you one thing. When that move fell out, and I did not go to Villa, when I joined KCC, he said one thing to me, and he said, you will never play professional football. But this is something that has been always pushing me, and until I achieved the dream of playing professional football.
Yes. And so then you go to KCCA?
Yes, I went to KCCA after a year.
But why did you pick KCCA? Because Villa was equally huge at
exactly,
the time.
and I loved Villa so much because their home ground was in Masaka, and all the stories I could always hear is Villa. So I chose KCC because KCC, they came and approached me as a player. They told me everything that we will do this. They put their deal on the table, And I was like, yes, I think this is good for me. But Villa never came to me. They never approached me as a player. They only approached the chairman. So that's the one mistake they made. And in due course, I chose KCCA. For Villa.
You don't regret the move?
I don't. I don't regret at all.
Okay.
Because
one of the stories that comes out of Masaka at the time is that the club chairman had already eaten some money from Villa, but you still need to go to Villa. You went to KCCA.
Yeah.
So you've come to KCCA now.
Yeah.
Who are the players then you find at KCCA at the time? Because I'm thinking they pushed you to become a better player.
Exactly. And now we were so many new players by then, and by then they were just bringing in Geoffrey Serunkuma. They were bringing in Sam Mobiru from still Masaka.
Okay.
They were bringing in another guy who was called Kasita. There's another one called Morindwa, Abdallah Maro. There were a lot of good players, and when I reached there, it was fun. I'm telling you, it was fun. It's like a family. It was a family for us, because even Coach Mike, there's one thing I can never forget. He told me, you know, for me back then when I was starting football, like I was joining guys that have played football for over 4 or 5 years in the Super League, and they had their own mentality. Our mentality was different from school. So when I came, I coped their mentality and I came with it to KCC. But when I came to KCC, Coach Mike changed my mentality. He told me, no, for me I knew the guy you are playing with the same position is your enemy. You can never even talk.
Yes. Because you're competing for
You're
the numbers.
competing. Yes. You can never even talk. But when I came to KCC, Coach Mike said, this is a family. When you see your fellow midfielder or player struggling, call him, speak to him, ask him what's wrong, what is happening, why are you not feeling good, why are you not at your best? So things like this. So eventually that changed my mentality when I reached there. Now I take it's even what I found at professional level when I went.
Level.
Yes.
We shall talk about the professional level and the mentality you need. But I'm more interested as a youngster. You've left Masaka, you've come to KCCA, and it's a huge club. There's so much competition. Your own mentality. How excited were you at the time? Because we have these youngsters who have an opportunity of playing for big clubs, and then they buckle under pressure. They just lose form.
Yes.
Weren't you sweating under your palms?
And no, like I think I got a chance that growing up, I'm this kind of competitive guy who always wanted to compete and show that I'm better than this player by competing on the pitch, by showing what you can do on the pitch, not by just mere talking. So I'm that kind of person. So when I came to KCC, I found the same age mates, and they were doing the same thing. So we were just playing football, competing and loving it. Okay. So it was no pressure, nothing at all. And even the manager by then, Mike Mutebi, you can even tell by the way he believes in the youngsters. Yes.
So Timbe and Mike Mutebi really are the people who looked after you the most when you were still young.
Yes, Timbe, Mike Mutebi, and George Semogele. Because what I remember about George Semogele, he was in Masaka, and he was by then finishing his football, but at the same time he was assistant coach.
Yes.
So I remember the first day when I got in on the pitch, he told me, young man, just play your football. Don't ever fear to lose the ball, because that's the reason why we are this way to defend.
Yes.
So that got me confidence, and I was confident. I did everything I'm capable of doing without even having any fear inside me. So he installed that confidence in me. So I can't forget to say that he put that big brick on my...
We're going to talk about his story after that, how he then left Uganda and traveled. He's played for 3 different clubs in Iceland. Like, who does that? Who plays for 3 clubs in Iceland? Completely different language, different weather, different setup. But we shall be talking about that shortly. I want to cross over, though, to Joel Kamadi, because you guys are asking him as many questions as well. The hashtag is NTV Press Box. Plus, I've been told there's a good...
To you with very, very... with much more reaction. I'm just getting them as they come, trying to organize them. But we shall be coming back to you in a short bit.
Okay, there you go. We shall get back to those as much as we can. 1-1 between United and Southampton. It's a story for a completely different day. So, Tony, let's come back to it.
Yeah.
And feel free to send in all the questions for Tony Mawejje tonight using the hashtag NTV Press Box. So now you're at KCCA.
Yes.
And now you've started knowing what top-tiered football in Uganda feels like.
Yeah.
How was your time at KCCA, and when do you make the next move?
Yeah, my time at KCCA was, I will say I enjoyed it. We first of all laid the table. In the first tie of the season, we laid the table. But eventually, I think there is where things fell out through, I think there's somewhere the management did not do perform to their best, and we lost it. And the first year when I was there, we were third in the league, but we won a Kakungulu Cup. Yes, so we won a silverware that year, and then the next year things were different again. We did not win the cup, but we were second in the league. So I had ambitions as well as a football player. I decided to make a transfer and then join the police. Which transfer everybody said, what the hell is this guy doing? Big mistake.
Yes.
So many saw it as a big mistake, but you have to be calculative and you have to be a guy who knows what you are doing. So deep inside me, I knew what I was doing. Okay, KCC is a big team. I respect, and I was going to police, which is slightly a smaller team than KCC. But again, by that in that year, police was the champion.
Yes.
So I was going to the champions now, because I knew that if I go to the and play with the champions, we are going to play CAF in CAF.
Yes.
And,
Continent.
continent. I wanted a continent football, and again we were the guys that are gonna represent Uganda in the Sekafa region. So that's where my target, because my dream was to go play out there and then maybe go professional.
Yes, and you did fantastic in the Sekafa itself.
Exactly.
You actually grew you as a person to become a better player. Who was at police at the time? Who are those players you are competing with? Because something must have pulled you to police.
Yes, police had so many good players. The guys I can remember right now, we had Dan Mobiru. He was a former Villa. Naniki Muzamil. There was there were a lot of them. The only guys I can say in the midfield, there was Dan Walusim. A lot of them, very good.
That was a good generation, though, for Ugandan football.
Yes.
You guys grew as a big family. I was just seeing a picture today of you in police. I think we have it somewhere, and the producer will try and find it for us before we cross over to Mark Sally shortly. There's a picture where you were battling against AC Villa.
Yes.
And you had Ntambi and Bengo, battling in the midfield. I think it recently ran in the Daily Monitor as well.
Yes.
Those were the days, my friend.
Yeah.
There it is. That picture shows how much talent we had at the time.
Yes, Mike Kazila, you can see
Yes, Mike Kazila,
down
actually,
here.
yes.
Yes.
These were great times. And these are the guys who are looking forward to battling for the Crane spot.
Exactly.
So these were very big games.
Yes, exactly. It was a very big game, playing against Villa, always Police and Villa. It was really big game.
Yes.
Yes, it's known to be a tough game when you're playing Villa.
We shall wait for it the upcoming season. He's going to be playing for Police once again. Mark Sally and Andrew Mwangusha, I don't know if you're both online and can hear me now. I want to bring you into the discussion. I know you're itching to join in, even though you're also focusing on things European at the moment. I think I should start off with Mwangusha this time round. Mwangusha, you've just listened to the introductory part, really, of Tony Mawejje's story. Do you understand that being a normal journey of an African footballer, a Ugandan footballer, starts off, I can't say by mistake, but by really a big chance, plays against the Hippos, and is never looked back? Do you understand that kind of story for a Ugandan footballer?
Hello, Andrew. Oh, okay. Good evening, Andrew. Can you repeat that question? I was still collecting the ball from the nets.
Yes, I was. I was saying you had Tony Mawejje's first part of his story, and for me, it's a story that resonates with almost all African footballers or Ugandan footballers. They never have much at the beginning, but when you have talent, you most likely never look back.
I listened to Mawejje's story and, of course, how he came. He was supposed to join Villa, then Mike Mtebe had to, approach him and all. But for me, I think I'd love to answer the Mawejje story in one way. Maxali talks about his ability, lining him up against some of the legends in the country and in the midfield. But the one point for me that comes through Mawejje all through from his young age, through the cranes and then professionally, is his mentor. I covered Mawejje during that dreadful goalless draw with Kenya, both legs really. So for me, Mawejje is a kind of person who can stand up against anyone. It's his character that has built him through. Yes, he has the discipline, he has the talent, but he also has a heart. And if you speak to coaches that have actually managed him, they'll tell you that he's one person who will believe nothing put in front of him can stop him from wherever he's going. He caused quite a star in Kenya for that first leg goalless draw in 2011, 2010, for the 2012 qualifiers, when he actually took on McDonald Mariga in Kenya. I wrote pieces for the Monitor and Daily Nation, and everyone in Kenya was asking, who is this Mawejje? Who is this Mawejje who is questioning McDonald Mariga in the Kenyan midfield? And then, of course, the Victor Wanyama as well. So everyone in Kenya was waiting to watch the match for one person, Tony Mawejje. And even when we came back to Nambole, same story. So for me, the one thing that stands out in Mawejje's career, discipline, yes, talent, yes, but it is his character. And that for me has been, shining through all the way till now he's back home.
Mwangusha talks about discipline, but you know what? We just showed you a picture that had Mike Azira in there, that had Stephen Bengo as well. I've just been looking at the squad that actually played Kenya in 2011, that fateful day, the 0-0. I'm telling you, Mawejje was sharing a pitch with Simeon Masaba, with Nestor Kizito, with Ande Mwesigwa, Musa Mude, Mike Serumaga, Vincent Kayizi. For him to still be playing top-flight football in Uganda, you can understand the discipline the man has had to have.
Definitely, of course, it is the discipline. As everyone who has played with Mawejje, you're talking of Simeon Masaba. This is a person. Even when you're interviewing him as a journalist, you can see through him. You see that one, he is honest with his game, but he is also professional and very disciplined. And discipline has been the downfall of many Ugandan players. We could count them. I don't want to mention names here, but I know of players that have shone through, the limelight, and 2 years on, you can barely trace them. I mean, I think I should go as well ahead and mention some players. If you remember, the 2014 CHAN in South Africa, you had Olaki, you had Yunus Sentamu. Do you have any idea where they are right now? They could be playing, but the fact that they're not coming through tells you. I did interview one of them when we were away in Togo. We were on a bus actually going to the Cranes training, and I came through to this young lad who had just, shone through, and asked him for a word or two for some publication later in Kampala. And the young boy asked me, he actually told me, "You're going to be paid. What am I getting?" This is a young player coming through the Cranes, trying to make it through the Cranes. What am I going to get? So they're going to pay you, what am I going to get? I'm a journalist, I'm on the job. So that kind of discipline takes you no further. As I speak, you can barely trace that kid who asked me that question. So it is Mawejje's discipline and character that, like I said, has been his benchmark. And when he goes to police now, 14 years on since he led them to Sekafa, the players at police will be looking to emulate Mawejje's experience, Mawejje's discipline and professionalism. Of course, Mawejje, yes, will have some games will boss. You don't expect him to be the Mawejje of 10 years ago, but the experience, the discipline, and the character. That's one thing that the lads at police will have to, feed off him.
Now, Max Ali, I just gave a list of players that Tony Mawejje was playing with at the time, the folks he found playing in the top division here in Uganda. Did you get a sense of how competitive the game was then in Uganda and how hard he had to work to actually break through with that? Do you remember those players? Do you remember that time, Mac?
Yeah, I do. Of course, I do. Actually, you just reminded me of one or two that I might have slipped off my mind when you talk about Musa Mode. I'd actually forgotten about Musa Mode, and yet this was a very talented player, one of the guys that played during the times. Yeah, but yeah, it was quite competitive, and it was I think largely part of the start of the recovery of Ugandan football after we had fallen on lean times. If you remember, there had been some lean times from the highs of the 90s to the scandals of the early 2000s that had quite thrown a dark cloud over Ugandan football. When you talk about 2010, 2011, and the guys you're talking about is when the recovery actually started. And if you recall, we were so confident about the talent of the guys who were there then that we expected to qualify for the Africa Cup of Nations then. We would have to wait a little longer, but we had thought it was going to happen at that time. And we had a few near misses. If you that game against Kenya and the other against Zambia come to mind. But yes, it was quite competitive, and it was. But it's a good thing to reminisce. One of the things, of course, that we have got to pride in is that then you get a player that stays around long enough and contributes well enough to the Ugandan game for us to be able to reminisce without regret. And that is one of the things that I've loved about us getting Tony Mawejje into the studio today. The kind of player that allows us to reminisce, to speak about the old times in a good way. And hopefully the rest of the Ugandan footballers are watching and seeing exactly what it takes for you to be idolized as a legend, as a living legend, as opposed to the ones that we have to exalt after they are gone.
Okay, Mark. I'll come back to you guys very shortly because Mr. Tony Mawejje is here, the champion in the midfield. I'm telling you, if you haven't watched Tony Mawejje play over the years, you need to hit YouTube and catch up with the guy. And also, if you've never had the opportunity of meeting him, feel free to meet me after here because this is the closest you can get to Tony Mawejje. But I'm told there's so much reaction coming in on social media from you guys. Joel, what's happening?
Well, there's so much reaction. Says Mawejje, ever reliable and efficient with both feet, always leaves his heart on the field of play. Then we have Ismail Chionga who says, proud of Tony Mawejje. I wonder whether Andrew Kabura has a ball playing OB, meaning that he's Mawejje's OB. And then we have King Morris who says, Tony Mawejje, how did you cope in Iceland? And why do you think Ugandans are failing in professional football? Many contracts are getting cancelled. And Baba Mendes says, very interesting and scrumptious night with the legend Tony Mawejje. I decided one eye is on NTV Press Box and the other is on Manchester United versus Southampton. Strategist Alan says, well, I was happy when I heard the news that Tony Mawejje is back in the UPL. He's arguably the most talented midfielder I have ever seen grace the Uganda football pitches. His positioning, reading of the game, passing, and vision is wow. Hans Atenyi, Tony Mawejje, midfield maestro, thank you for your service to Uganda Cranes. Maybe one more or two more. We have Moses Kalema, says Tony Mawejje is the best central midfielder I have watched play for the Uganda Cranes, and I have not missed many Cranes games since 2012. Effective, efficient, confident, and fearless, even if it is against Nigeria, Ghana, or Egypt. So there you go, Andrew.
There's very good reaction coming in through for you, Tony Mawejje, as well. I don't know if you get these fans thanking you today. Some players say, Mulinda Tufe,
yeah,
then
definitely.
It's okay.
It feels so good and humbling when you hear a fan speak such a comment about you. It feels so humbling, and you just know people saw the efforts you always did. And they really appreciate. I'm so humbled by this. Yes.
Okay, I want us to talk about that trip to Iceland for your first professional trip. But before we do that, 2004, you called the Uganda Cranes team. Leo Adra and Timbe are in charge of that team. Do you have a feel? Do you remember what happened? Who gave you a call and how excited you were to join up with the team?
Yes. When I was called up and we gathered in Nambole for training, and here comes like the cream for the Super League. Oh my God, the training you can never imagine.
Yes.
The likes, by then the likes of Abeka, Tabla, all of them, those guys of the then days.
Yes, Magumba was now-
Magumba, they were still there. And the only training with them is an inspiration to me.
Yes.
Terrifics.
Welcome back. It is the press box, small technical glitch in there, but we are still here and still live with Mr. Tony Mawejje. I'm looking at the trends, Joel Kamadi here on Twitter, and we currently are number 5, only behind Manchester United and the NTV Power of Legacy. The Power of Legacy is a huge show, eh? It is on top of press box. I'm sure by the time we finish the show, we shall be trending number 1. Please, continue sending us those reactions. The hashtag is NTV Press Box. Yes, we're talking about your time with the Cranes and how the standards had gone up.
Yes.
That must have been important for you
Exactly.
in terms of development.
Yeah, it was so inspirational to me because here comes the time I'm training on the same pitch in the national team with the guys I was always idolizing, the Akim Magumba and the Edgar Watson. The other day, when I told you we played, when I was still back in Masaka, I was just watching them play Express Villa, and I was like, I wish one time I play like these guys. And now I'm
Now here you are.
I'm here. Yeah, I'm training with these guys on the same team, national team. So it was, to me, it was so inspirational and such a good time for me.
And how did they welcome you? I'm asking you this because I don't know if it's true.
Yeah.
I have heard old stories in Ugandan football that if someone came and they were going to compete for your number, you might even injure the person so that they don't play. How welcoming were those veterans?
They were. They actually saw no threat in me as a young boy coming on the national team. Definitely somebody who has been there and has played with all this experience. There is no threat you can get in a young boy who has even just joined. So they were so welcoming and loving as a young boy who has joined. They inspired me. They could tell me what to do, instruct me, oh, do this and that. So they were really so welcoming when I joined them, and I liked and loved the time that I joined the national team by then.
We shall come back to the Uganda Cranes because you've gone on to play 83 games, scored 8 goals in there. I hope those statistics are right.
Yes, they are.
I did pick them straight off your Wikipedia to be more specific. But now let's talk about going professional. So the boy from Masaka who played against Hippos just the other day, plans come to KCCA, is now going to police, is now going to Iceland.
Definitely.
How on earth did you end up in Iceland, my brother?
Yeah, now happens. It so happens that I was on the national team and we were playing Sekafa. It was 2008. We hosted the Sekafa tournament here in Uganda. By then, the coach was Bobby Williamson. So, and this is the guy, I didn't mention him, but this is the guy that fully gave me a chance to take my position in the national team, to be a starter in the national team. So when he gave me this chance, I took it with both hands. And it so happened that the coach of Iceland, one Iceland side, IBV, because one Ugandan player was playing there by names of Ande Mwesugwa, the captain. I salute you if you are watching Ande Mwesugwa. So this guy happens to be in Uganda for holidays, and he comes to watch the Sekafa tournament. Now here I get a chance when he spotted me and he said, oh, I think I like this boy's style of play. He liked me and he took me to Iceland. Yes, that's how I go to Iceland.
Here's the thing, Tony. I travel out of Uganda, just in Rwanda, in Kenya, Tanzania, and after 1 week I'm tired because I want to eat matoke. I'm tired. I want to eat matoke. You've gone to Iceland.
Yes.
Different language, absolutely different weather. Now, for you to play football and maintain the standards in a new culture must have been the biggest problem you had.
Yeah, it is so challenging when you talk about when it comes to food. Yeah, now it so happens that their food is so different. The only food you can get is rice and some pasta. They call it pasta, but here maybe the local name you can say macaroni. Yeah, that's how somebody can understand it. But this is the food you have to take like on daily basis. It kind of sometimes becomes boring. You need a change and take some other different food. But as a professional player, you have to have a proper mindset. Only food cannot let you lose the chance you've gotten to become a professional player. So I think it was so difficult to adapt to that. But again, you have to persevere and go through this.
But then the level of competition in
Yes.
the Iceland League, was,
Yes.
was it a notch higher for you?
Yeah, it was, but eventually you cope up. But the only thing that was a problem is the coldness, because here comes a time. It so happens that you are coming from a warm weather, as everybody knows the weather for Uganda, and then you go into a country that is in negative. Ice is falling. Even when you are training, there is ice.
Yes.
So the cold is too much. So I think it was just by chance that I got spotted by the coach.
Yeah.
Had I been taken by a football agent or somebody else, maybe if I was there for a trial, I would have failed due to the coldness.
Yes.
But because the coach is the one who took me there, he knew exactly what I could do. He knew the problem that, okay, maybe he's not, he's starting on a low note because of the coldness. At some time, he will catch up.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what happened. After some time, I got used to the environment and everything started moving well.
But then you really got used, because
Yes.
later, years on, you've played for 3 different clubs
In
Iceland.
Iceland, yes.
I see Vla, I don't know if Vala, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
It is Val.
Val.
Yes.
And then there's Protwo.
Throttle. Throttle Reykjavik.
Yes.
Yes.
So you've gone on and played for different clubs.
Yeah.
You know the landscape. You must be a popular man in Iceland.
Yeah.
And you must have really gotten to tabs with how the league goes on.
Yeah, I think this comes with what they saw in me. The first year when I featured in this league, I put up a good performance, and so I think this is what like attracted even these other clubs
Yes.
to give me contracts after I had left IBV. Yes.
Then you leave Iceland, you come back to Africa. We are seeing you now, I think, in South Africa with Golden Arrows.
Yeah.
It was a loan stint.
Yeah, it
then
was.
you go to Norway. What happened?
Yes, and now the loan stint in South Africa, I asked it myself. I asked my agent. By then I anticipated that we might qualify for AFCON in 2012. That the game that we were playing Kenya here,
Yes.
we always won Kenya 4-0, 6-2. So
You are sure?
we were very sure. Everybody was very sure that this time we have to qualify. We have to beat them. But it happened the other way around. We did not win, and my anticipation of going to this loan stint, because it was meant to, I was meant to go there, be fit, and when the AFCON comes, I'm like
You're
ready and fit for playing a lot of games now. But it happened the other way around, and we never qualified. So the importance of the loan did not come out as I wanted.
Yeah.
So I went back to
Going to Norway now.
No, I went back to Iceland
To
again,
Iceland
same team.
Okay.
And then I went to Norway in 2014.
Just before I move on, let me first take you back to that game against Kenya.
Yeah.
0-0
Yes.
at Nambole. The entire country was crying, my friend. The entire country was crying. Guys were picking towels to dry their tears. Do you remember the scene in the dressing room after that game? What happened?
Yeah, I remember everybody not talking to each other, and some of the guys, some were shedding tears, some were, everyone was seated in his own place, not minding. And the only the other thing I remember about it is a lot of fans who were around the Nambole dressing room. We were seeing them in the windows, waiting for us, screaming bad words and insults to us. Come out and you see.
But what happened? We were always beating Kenya.
Yeah.
What happened in that game? Do you think we took it a little bit too easy? Were we so sure?
Yeah, I think two things led to this. First, we underrated Kenya.
Yes.
We thought, because we were beating them so many times, so we thought this is a team to beat. It doesn't matter how which players they bring, we will beat. So as players, everybody, even the fans themselves, they underrated. So we underrated them. Then the second thing is when we had to lose David Obua from the camp. Yes, that incident that
was
happened.
a huge blow.
It was a huge blow, and it kind of affected everybody's mindset now, because this guy, we used to. He used to to help us in the big games. We used to rely on him, and here comes a game we really need him, and he has been suspended from the camp. So it kind of hit us and led to this as well. It disorganized everything and led also to this. Those are the two things I can say that they made it's difficult for us.
We shall come back to the Cranes again. I just keep picking out a few moments with the Uganda Cranes. And then you've done 2 more stints in Iceland. You've gone to Tirana now.
Yes.
In Albania.
Yeah.
Tony, you know the entire world, my friend. From Iceland to Norway to Albania. The culture and the competitiveness. What is it you learned from Albania?
Yeah, one thing I will tell you is football itself is a language. I would say it's a religion.
Yes.
Yeah, because the football you will find in Iceland is the same football you will find in Albania. But the only thing that differs is the tempo and the pace at which the league is. I will say the tempo in Albania is more faster than in Iceland. But though in Iceland, it has been on like going up. Been improving. You even saw them in the World Cup. You saw them in the Euros. Even the way they perform there. So for their game has been always improving. But the only difference is when I was there, it was kind of slower compared to Albanian football.
And Kuwait?
Kuwait, the same.
But let me start with what's happening on social media really fast. We have Natuha Bailon who says, Tony has again given birth to my lost love for Ugandan football. I lost the love when we failed to beat Kenya because of politics. I loved Obua, and that was my last Ugandan match to watch and support. Thank you, Tony, for staying on top of this. The next one is Emwonyu, who says, thank you, NTV Press Box, for bringing back legends. This really inspires the youth who want to play professional football. Please create a fantasy Premier League page next season. We have one this season. We shall create another one next season. We have another one. Ham Parker, who's in Dubai, says, thanks for the show live in Abu Dhabi. Always, can you ask the midfield maestro, has he ever tore down in tears after which game was that? And I read in an interview back in the day that he said he was better than Victor Wanyama. Any comment about it? We shall come back to that in a bit. Hampaka. Adnaito Rugendo, who was here last week, says, NTV Press Box, I'm proud of Tony Mawejje, Mawejje's move back to the UPL. I can say he's raised some fever within the league, and he's an inspiration to the rest of the players. I can't wait to shake his hands. Thank you, Uganda Police FC, the team he just joined. And then we have Shaban Lubega, who says, I still can't believe he never played in the top 7 leagues in the world. It's unbelievable that Mawejje never played in those leagues. That's what you say. So, Tony, before we come back to that, I want to ask you a few questions of my own, and these are just quick-fire questions. Feel free to answer them without thinking too much on the top of your head. I don't know if you can hear me.
Okay, I hear you.
Fantastic. Number one, who is the hardest opponent you have ever faced?
This guy is Kwadwo Samoa of Ghana.
Kwadwo Samoa. Good one. Number two, who's the best midfielder you have partnered with?
Mike Serumaga.
Mike Serumaga. Number three, what is your most memorable game? It might have been good or bad.
My memorable game is the game when we qualified for AFCON.
Fantastic.
Against Comoros in Nambole.
Fantastic. Number four, which country did you enjoy playing in the most, seeing that you've traversed almost every part of the globe, really?
Yeah, I enjoyed playing in Iceland, however cold it is.
In Iceland. And finally, Tony, what was the most, or who, rather, was the most annoying teammate you ever played with?
Oh, come again?
Who was the most annoying teammate you ever played with?
He's from Albania. He plays number 3.
What about the national team?
I don't think you will know the name when I say.
Okay, what about the national team in the Cranes?
In the national team? No. There's
good,
no one.
Good one, Tony. We'll be having much more reaction as you guys continue, Andrew.
I think his red plate politically safe there because he might meet any of these guys very soon. But someone online was talking about their disappointment that you didn't play in the top 7 leagues in the world.
Yeah.
The journey for an African footballer, specifically a Ugandan footballer, to make it to the top is not as easy as we make it look.
Yeah, exactly. I only feel what he says because at one point I also sit back and say, oh, I would have been somewhere in these 2 or 3 leagues, but I lost it out somewhere when I went to Norway. I would say I had pressure to play for the national team, and by that time, if you are not having enough playing time in your club, here you will not play.
Yeah.
So when I went to Norway, it was a good club, and this club is. You remember the days when they bought Mikau Obi from Norway? So I had exactly. So I had the same ambition that if I play in this league very well, I will be bought from there, and I was my age was the age was still on my side. So when I the way I lost it out is when I asked them to loan me back to Iceland.
Okay.
By then I knew I was doing the right thing, but after some time I realized I made a mistake.
You should have stayed in
I should have stayed and have hold on for some time.
Okay.
And it's like it's something to learn about for young players who want to go play professional.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to hang in there. Don't rush things. Just be like take time. Your time is gonna come. So I made a mistake, and I think this is what stopped me.
But
from
don't worry, my
getting
friend. You
through.
still have had a brilliant career.
Exactly.
over the years.
I don't look long to such things,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, is what you've achieved is what God prepared for you to achieve. You can never change what God prepared.
Let's talk about the Cranes now.
Yeah.
We qualified for Gabon. I was in the stadium. I
Yeah.
was in the stadium here at Nambole. We celebrated the whole night. Kampala was full of parties. That must be one of your highlights for the Cranes.
Yes, I will say yes, because this is something I wanted for a long time. We've always tried 4 campaigns.
Yeah.
And think we were like close to
Near misses.
close to qualifying, and this is something I was like, oh God, can you give me this thing? So when it happened, I felt like everything for the national team for me had been come to true.
Yeah.
Like everything I wished for the national team. Yes.
But then when we got to Gabon, the level of quality of football of the
Yes.
teams were taking on,
Yeah.
it was a baptism of fire for the Uganda.
Yeah. Yes, I think because we were new in the system.
Yes.
As players, the federation itself, everything was new to us. And you see what happened after we went back to
Egypt.
AFCON in
Yes.
Egypt. The story was different. Now we qualified even for
Yes.
the next round.
Yes.
So I
Second part of the final part of the interview, I should say, and we shall also be getting an update definitely from Joel Kamadi about Southampton up against Manchester United at Old Trafford. Okay, we don't have them yet. We shall try and figure how to have them later. The reason I started today's interview, Tony, with reminding you that I was so privileged to fly alongside you on our way to Oyem in Gabon is because the discussion we had on the plane that day was how you've managed to stay with the Uganda Cranes for this long.
Yes.
Stay in top shape. Every coach who has come in has started you. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
What is it? What is very special about it that other footballers actually are not doing?
Yeah, I think it takes a higher level of discipline, commitment, and consistency. But all this comes with hard work. Yeah, you have to look after yourself as a football player. Most of the work for a football player is not done in the training or on the match. It is done in the individual trainings. Yes, you have to look at yourself and see your strength. Always make sure you do your strength 100%.
Okay.
So this is the use of individual training. Or the individual training I'm talking about, something you do even when nobody is watching you.
Yes.
So that has kept me
And
going.
that involves not going to the clubs, not taking alcohol.
Exactly. There is when I say about caring about yourself, discipline. It encloses like discipline.
Yes.
Discipline means I have to train. I have to rest in time. I have what do I have to eat as a football player? Now I have had a good training. I have to eat well. I have enough rest and things of that kind. They keep you going. It's not. Sometimes it's not a matter of just playing football on the pitch. Play very good football and then go waste it in the bars.
Absolutely.
Go waste it in the. You go in the what is this KFC eat this fast food.
Yes.
At the end of the day, you'll be a guy with a big stomach on the pitch. So I mean, you need to care about yourself as a football player. Yes.
I actually like some fast food sometimes, so I don't think it was the
but
right. I don't
no.
think it was the right time to say it.
No, but once in a while.
Yeah, once in a
You
while.
know.
We've got Mark Sally on the line now. Mark, welcome back. He's off now. Okay, there you go. We shall try and get back to those guys later on. Let's just move on now because I like the fact that we've worked on continuity in Ugandan football.
Yes.
This generation comes, the next generation goes on, and we've just talked about the new generation now.
Yes.
How confident are you? How good is this new crop of players for the Uganda Cranes under McKinstry?
Yes, for the players, I'm very confident that Uganda is blessed with good players. Uganda, you can even pick 2 national teams and they give you what you want. Like we have good players, but the only question is the guy to assemble them and the way we want, and is he the real person that we need? So that is a question that is given after the tournament has happened. You saw what the other coach did, the one that had just left the Uganda Cranes.
Disabri.
Yes, Disabri. I've not worked with him as a player, but looking at the Cranes' performance in Egypt, I 100% believe he was the right guy to be the coach. And this guy here now, he takes over. Now he's on the weighing scale.
Yes.
Because we've not seen him. We have not seen him on big games. We've not seen him manage the team to a big level. So we wait and see how good he is.
Yeah, but then, Tony, there's a question in there that has always been asked by so many Ugandan football fans.
Yeah.
Are Ugandan coaches ready to take on the mantle? And I'm asking because you've worked under so many of them, so many beautiful coaches here in Uganda.
Yes.
Do we have coaches that are ready professionally to manage the Uganda Cranes, in your view?
Definitely, yes. We have so many good coaches that are ready to take on the team. But the only question is the local coaches, they must look into their souls. There's only one thing they are not going good. When they start assembling these players, then they start bringing this thing. This one play for X-Place. This one I met him in he did this to this guy. What?
So
those things. This is my friend. This one I hate him. What we need is the football on the pitch. Yes. We don't need those stories of this one I don't like him, of this one he has been playing for Express, this one KCC, this one refused to come to Villa when I was coach. All those crap we don't need. So we need to assemble a team that is going to represent the country. So the coaches here, that's what they are lacking. But we have so many of them that have the ability to take on the national team.
Okay, Joel Kamadi, I think I should cross over to you once again. There is so much reaction coming in online. I want to ask him a few other questions as we wrap up the interview, but I would be more interested in knowing what the viewers are thinking online this evening. Joel.
Well, Andrew, we do have some social media reaction. Let me just show you some. We have Hood Favored Suna, who says, Tony Mawejje is so humble. As a new junior student in school, I will never forget the day I woke up only to find that he had brought me porridge. I'm happy I shared a deck bed with him. I don't know if you remember Hood Favored Suna, Tony Mawejje. Stella Lubuama says, NTV Press Box, thank you for hosting the legend that is Tony Mawejje. We have another one from Faizo, who says, Tony just brought back that memory when Obua was suspended from the Uganda Cranes camp because someone wanted to appease a certain politician. It was sad for the whole country. Thanks, guys, for being such an executive sports show. I love you guys. By the way, where is Asha? She's around. I can tell you that for a fact. She's around. We shall be having her very soon. H. Kimbugwe says, NTV Press Box, Tony Mawejje is a committed player. I pray he inspires the young ones. He has a good attitude on the pitch. Andrew.
Okay, there's so much reaction coming in. We shall get back to that very, very shortly later on in the show. The big debate that has been going around football today is Black Lives Matter.
Yes.
And as a professional footballer, you've gone all over the world. Mark is online with us now. Okay, we have Mark Omwangusha, who shall be joining up with them very shortly. I want us to talk about Black Lives Matter. I want us to talk about your advice to these youngsters in here. And I want us to talk about a bit of police ahead of this new season, just to know why you've joined Mr. Hassan Kasinje and everyone else at police. But quick commercial break. When we come back, it's the Press Box. We're live from the Kampala Serena Hotel, powered by DSTV. The Press Box, and we're live from the Kampala Serena Hotel. First of all, thank you very much for watching us. Every Monday at 10 p.m. we're live and exclusive to NTV. The biggest panel of journalists is in town talking sport, and also the biggest guests talking about some of the biggest issues. The hashtag is NTV Press Box. And I've just checked my Twitter. We are trending #1. I'm telling you. We have overtaken Power of Legacy, guys. I told you, we are only... When you look at the ratings here at NTV, let me tell you this. If you look at the ratings here at NTV, it is Press Box #1, then NTV at 9. That is #2. We are doing fantastic. Welcome back. We still have Tony Mawejje here. I'll be joining Mark Sally very shortly in case he has any question that he wants to ask the superstar here. Okay, there you go. I think let's take Mark's question first. Mark, any question you have for Tony as we try to wrap this up?
Well, Andrew, I'm not sure it's a question really. I just want to know, has Tony talked about his earnings from football and his financial status at the moment? Because it is something that I keep asking all the guests that we have, the Ugandan sportsmen, the living legends, because they are supposed to be inspiring the young ones. We have had, Tony of course knows that on a sad note, the guys of an older generation than him, is quite a number of them have fallen on hard times because they didn't earn as much from the game back then, even if they became popular and famous. And they've found life outside of football really tough going because we as a nation, we didn't contribute well enough to preparing them. Well, even they did not skill themselves enough to survive outside of football when they retired. Now, his generation has done a lot better. And there's several examples, some of them have actually been on our show, of guys who have done well for themselves during football times and also are living well after it. And then, of course, there are examples. Tony falls in the same category, even if he's still playing, as people like, say, Ibrahim Sekaja and Andy Mwesigwa and Timothy Batavaire, that kind, but also in the category of people like Dennis Onyango, who is still playing. Guys who've played for a long time in places where they've earned a little more than if they were playing for Masaka LC or Police FC. So, yeah, I'd like for him to say, I mean, I don't expect him to read out his bank balance or anything, or tell us where the apartments are. But I'd like for him to just say a little thing, tell us, assure us he's comfortable, so I can tell my son, who is not a few meters away from me, that, you know, it's okay to play football. Look at that guy out there. So, Tony, over to you.
Yes, actually, thank you, Mark. I love the question because that question means a lot to me because even the reason why I came back to Uganda is to inspire some of the young boys, because I know there are so many young boys that have looked at me, that take me as their role model. It can be so ashamed if a boy one day comes and finds you on the street. This is the embarrassment, the biggest embarrassment of the highest orders. But I want to assure Mark that I've done a lot on myself when it comes to that area. And yes, you can start telling your kid, your boy, to to say, yeah, look at Tony, because at least you will have something to look at and say and be proud of me. Yes.
Mark, as we say bye-bye to you, please feel free to bring the young man on the screen so he can wave at us and we can say bye-bye to you. Is he somewhere very nearby?
He's pretending to be shy. I know he's not.
Well, that is quite embarrassing. Well, Mark, thank you very much. Let's try and wrap this one up. I should probably take a final comment from you. You've been watching Man United Southampton. How is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's Chargers doing? Hey, Mark, can you hear me?
Oh, you say you mean me? Yeah, okay. It's still the same score, and if you're asking, it's still 2-1. I think Southampton have come out quite strong in the second half. They're pressing high, and they're winning the ball early off United, and they're trying to get that equalizer. They've come close on a few occasions. Nathan Redmond has shot wide, slightly wide on a couple of occasions, but I think they're also setting themselves up for a Man United counter. There's a few that United have hit on the break this season, as you know, perhaps the fastest in the league. So I see like the game is setting itself up for that kind of thing.
Okay, thank you very much, Mark. Tony, let's try and wrap this one up. I'll
Yeah.
be crossing over to Joel one more time to get most of the social media reaction. Before we went to the break, I wanted to ask you about the Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, yeah.
Not the movement, but the racism in football.
Yeah.
For a man who has been to Albania, with respect to these countries,
Yes.
You've been to Norway, you've been to Kuwait, you've been to Iceland.
Yeah.
Have you encountered racism? And if you have, how have you dealt with it?
Yes, I've encountered it. I remember back when I had just played in Iceland. I happened to, this happened. The opponent's team, the fans. The action wasn't good. I made a slight tackle, and I kind of injured their player.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and the good thing about it is I didn't know their language. I didn't know what they were speaking. And the next day I read in the papers, they had written some words which are racist about this team, and this team they faced penalty from the federation for fans saying, "Oh, these bad words are about me" and everything like this.
Yeah.
But the good thing, I didn't know anything
Yes.
they were saying, but I asked a friend who interpreted for me, and they told me everything they spoke. But I would want to emphasize that every Ugandan player that wants to go to play professional should expect this.
Yeah.
But the way to go about it is to tune your mind. Yeah. What do you want? You came for football, or you came for these fans?
Yeah.
Fans, you are capable of saying anything they want. They can say anything. They can call you whatever they want. But for you, concentrate and play your football.
Okay.
Don't mind them. It's what I did as well. But it happened.
I want us to try and wrap this, because with now your return to Ugandan football.
Yeah.
Someone was asking me today, why did Tony come back? I mean, why? He could have gone to another league somewhere
Yes.
and played top professional, played for more money.
Yeah.
Why did you decide to come back here? You didn't have options?
It is evident that I'm not the Tony Mawejje that played for KCC, or the Tony Mawejje that played in 2012.
Yes.
Everybody knows that I'm in the evening of my career right now. And my career has been quite an amazing journey,
Yes.
which I want to finish on a very good note. Coming back here, I come here, first of all, to inspire. Secondly, to be an example to all football players that play from outside. That when you have a good career outside, when time comes, go back home and maybe get a proper send-off when you are home.
Okay.
You are much appreciated home than when you are out there. So this is something like a message I want to pass. But again, to the teams as well, that when a player serves a team for some good time, when a player has been loyal to the team, when he's in his time of retirement, when he's towards his end of the game, try to find a way that you make a proper send-off, so that this guy goes to retirement a contented man, in peace, a contented guy that will always come, even be a part of the team.
Yes.
Differently, he can be an administrator, a coach, or something.
Is that your target?
But
Coming back to the game? Whenever you decide to retire?
The thing is, all my life I've been in the game.
Yeah.
There's nothing I know to do than the game. So even when I retire in football, I will still work for the game.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. I'm sure you had discussions with the AIGP, Hassan Kasinje. You also had discussions with Abdallah Muviru.
Yeah.
What are police's targets next season? Because like I said at the beginning, you were battling relegation this season.
Yes, like I told you before, that battling relegation is just the team who had a bad run. It happens to everywhere. It happens for a team, but that doesn't necessarily mean the team is bad or they have bad players. The players are good, and they are retaining the players there that who were there last season. They are bringing in other players, new players, including me, and I think next season is going to be totally different story with new signings and good players, and the attitude, because they set goals for next season. We need a cup.
Yeah.
Yes, we need to compete with those people that also need a cup so that we get it to our side.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an amazing season for Police, I think, with all these targets and the good players, the good recruitments they are making.
Are you getting shot 6?
Yeah, definitely. I would want to.
Tell me about that shot 6 story, by the way.
No, shot 6. Way back when I had just started watching football, I watched. There's a game I watched Man U play Real Madrid, and there's a guy who did a lot of stuff with the ball, donning number 6, by names of Fernando Redondo of Real Madrid. Ever since, I love number 6, and whenever I'm on the pitch and I put on number 6, I feel so comfortable.
You feel more confident.
Definitely.
I tell you what, when I was still playing, in my playing days, I was putting on shot 16.
16? Why the one? Why don't you scratch off the number?
No, because also when I was growing up, I was looking at Roy Keane.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
he was my favorite player.
Yeah.
I want to ask you my final question as we wrap up the show tonight, but I want to first cross over to Joel Kamadi for the final reaction from social media. Joel, apart from United Southampton on the side, any final questions for Mr. Tony Mawejje?
Just to update you, that game is still 2-1, about this approaching the 60th minute. But I want to also just say this. In all the guests we've hosted on the press box, I can tell you that Tony Mawejje has gotten 100% praise. There's no one who has talked ill or who has commented negatively about Tony Mawejje. And I'll just go to Twitter and look at a few more before I hand over back to you. Mulindwa George Williams says, Tony Mawejje has been consistent for many years, which is a rare character to many Ugandan footballers. What inspires him? We love him. And then we have another one from Matovu Musa who says, thank you for bringing the legend. I myself am looking forward to playing alongside him in the same team. It's such a great honor for me, my team, and my career. Tony, that's your teammate who's saying that. Abila says, Tony Mawejje, who are your favorite youngsters currently and why? Do you have another one? Victor Vic says, the maturity in Tony Mawejje's submissions is up there, like the legend he is. And maybe Ashaba Agri, of course, for KCCA, he says, Tony Mawejje, thank you for giving a very good account of yourself, the game, and the industry at large. Always been a good man. Keep shining. And just a few more, I can, because they're coming in thick and fast. We have Arthur Frederick who says you are inspirational. Sebagala Harold who says, how many goals has Tony Mawejje scored for the Cranes? Ahabwa Ivan says, thank you for hosting the legendary footballer. Thank you, Tony Mawejje, for inspiring the young footballers. And thank you, Joel and Andrew, for the fantastic show. Maybe one more before I hand over back to you. Tony Mawejje is really the best Ugandan midfielder I have watched. I like what he said on the Ugandan Cranes. It's good for the legends to inspire this young generation than competing with them for numbers. That's well said by Macbeth.
Okay, thank you very much, folks. We really appreciate your reaction. Just to give you an answer, he scored 8 goals for the Uganda Cranes, 83 matches. That is what the statistics certainly do say. Can I tell you about my favorite midfielder when I was probably starting to watch the Cranes game?
Yes.
It was Noah Babadikasuli.
Yeah? I actually met him in the national team as he was retiring. But the awards he told me that have also kept me going. He told me one time when he was at the national team and Coach Paul Asuli was the coach by then. He never liked him and he removed him from the position he was playing. He put him in number 2. But you know what he told me? Never be put down by any coach. Whatever he does, as long as you're on the pitch, still give your best.
Yes, you'll still impress.
Exactly.
And that's what you've done.
Exactly.
Let me ask you, finally, who are your 2 or 3 favorite African midfielders, really, of all time? The folks you watch and say, I was hoping to be like that guy.
Yeah, one I would say Yaya Toure.
Yeah.
And Michael Essien. And the guy I grew up watching, like, you know, I was a fan for Nigeria as a kid.
Yes.
Yeah,
Super
because
Eagles.
it's Super Eagles. We were watching the AFCON always, like, and I liked so much JJ Okocha.
Brilliant.
Yes.
So good he was named twice.
Exactly.
Finally, before I let you go, our final question really, I mean, we do this for every legend we have on the show. We always want you to come and inspire the new generation. Yeah. There are so many folks, and that is your camera there. There are so many folks out there who are youngsters. They want to become professional footballers, whether they are starting here at KCCA, at Proline, any of the Ugandan clubs. They want to be like you. They want to go and play that many games outside Uganda.
Yeah.
Just in a final few words, Tony, what is your advice to that youngster who is watching us tonight?
Yes, first of all, self-confidence. Believe in yourself. That is number one. Two, put God first.
Yeah.
Because if you do anything, God will bless. So put God first. And then another thing, always work hard. Work on yourself.
Yes.
Know your abilities. Know your strong points and work on it. Always be at your best.
It's the
Because
best thing.
you never know who is watching you.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Tony Mawejje, asante sana, my friend. Thank you very much. Now we are doing this one these days. Whoever they know, come into the press box. Please come next time. When
Definitely.
Police win the Uganda Premier League, please come
I
with
will
a trophy.
be here. I will be here with the trophy.
Come here with a trophy. We promised you on the show last week that we are giving away free subscription to a lucky viewer of the press box, courtesy of DSTV. Live sport is back, my friend. So now you have a big opportunity of watching all this action on your couch. So Joel Kamadi is standing by. Joel, we have the winner. Who is the winner, my friend?
My friend, we have a winner. If that name could just pop up on my screen right now, I'd show you. It is Esther Nkwenge. Esther Nkwenge, who predicted Spurs 2, Arsenal 1, perfect score, correct score. And you said this, you tweeted this at 3:39 p.m. That's how we got the winner, because there were quite a number of correct scores, the 2-1 score, but she posted this at 3:39 p.m. She was the earliest to post this, so we shall be getting in touch with you, Esther, to tell you how and when you can get your subscription for your Compact Plus for 1 month. We shall be getting in touch with you tomorrow in your DM.
Is it Esther? Is it Asta? I'm not sure, but either
I
way.
think it's Esther, but Esther. I think so.
Great.
I don't know.
Now. We shall definitely get in touch with you as early as tomorrow and let you in, Asta Nkwenge, on how you will get your 1 month free subscription, Compact Plus, from DSTV, who, of course, are the proud sponsors of the Press Box. Thank you very much, folks, for joining us tonight. Thank you very much to the Cranes legend, Tony Mawejje. Thank you very much to everyone who has watched us from home, Andrew Mwangusha, and, of course, Max Ali as well, and Joel Kamadi. The entire production team, guys, behind the scenes, asante sana. Thank you very much for making the Press Box trend #1 on Twitter tonight. From me and the rest of the crew, good night and be